Online harassment and cyberbullying are unfortunately quite common and can happen to anyone at any age. Hurtful, harmful, or inappropriate messages or images may be used to bully or harass someone in any space online. Bullying is often thought of as a repeated offense, but a once-off offensive or hurtful message on a social network site or other public forum can be viewed and shared by other people. So this is also regarded as bullying behavior. Now, most kids are actually fine. They're not overly upset when they encounter difficulties like harassment online. They're quite resilient and handle problems quite well. But a small number are much more vulnerable. And cyberbullying and harassment are actually the biggest problem for young people online. Despite all the other scary risks that parents tend to focus on, this is actually the biggest problem. What is really important is to keep talking to kids, open that channel of communication and develop trust with them, to let them know that you won't be angry if they come to you with something that happened, even if they were doing something that they weren't meant to be doing online, that you won't react and take away their technology. It's important to listen to them supportively and sometimes to remind them that a lot of other people have unfortunately had these experiences, so they're not alone. If you too react and take their tech away, they'll see that as a punishment and they might not have done anything wrong. So they might feel like they're being punished for what someone else has done to them. There might be a time when it is appropriate to delete a particular app or set some stronger boundaries, but don't let it be the immediate response. Where possible, try to take a democratic approach with your child and discuss solutions with them rather than imposing them if possible. There's a lot of evidence that offline factors affect well-being far more than online factors. So for example, personality traits like sensation seeking and low self-esteem, psychological difficulties like anxiety or depression, also lack of parental support or the norms of behavior in their peer group have a much bigger impact than how much time they're spending online. So while online harassment is certainly a problem that needs discussing with children and to help them develop skills to deal with it, banning technology isn't a solution that will help. Developing digital skills is far more effective in helping them overcome these issues. For vulnerable children, the internet may put them at higher risk for negative outcomes. So each parent and caregiver knows their own child best and knows that when they allow them to do things online, that they are prepared for doing those things. So having conversations about what they might encounter online is hugely important for that. Helping your child understand how to respond is ideally something you should do before it ever happens. Having regular conversations about situations that might happen when they're online, what kind of content they might come across, and giving your child strategies for dealing with it and discussing how they might feel about it and how they might want to respond when things like this happen. That will help them develop the skills they need to be safe online. So again, opening a line of communication with your child and developing trust so that they can come and talk to you about any difficulties they're having is hugely important. In terms of responding to the harassment itself, there's four key things. The first is not to reply. The bully wants to upset their target, and starving them of a response means they don't get that. Responding can make things worse, and it can really escalate situations. Keeping the messages. So if your child is receiving nasty messages, keeping a record of it, the dates and the times, that can be useful for any future school or Garda investigation if it's a serious problem. Blocking or muting senders is really important. Social media companies have tools in place to help with harassment, and young people shouldn't have to deal with that. So there are also blocking capabilities on phones and so on. Young people sometimes would feel like they'd rather know what's going on than be wondering about what's happening behind their back. So it's important to talk this through with them. And then reporting problems. So make sure that your child reports any instances of harassment to websites or service providers through the reporting tools. That might help the sites better identify harassing behavior. And people often wonder about bad things happening to their kids, but not always about how their kids might be treating others online. There's some factors that encourage kids to behave in ways that they wouldn't offline. And the online disinhibition effect means that people might do things online that they normally wouldn't. Part of it is the fact that you have no eye contact with the person you're talking to, they're invisible. You essentially forget that the person you're talking to is a full human with fears and emotions and sensitivities and the capacity to be hurt just like them. So we tend to group people as well by their social identity. So this person's an Arsenal supporter or a hipster and not an individual. And that can lead to behaviors towards others that you might not do offline. So cyberbullying and harassment are common, but most children deal with them quite well. The key thing is have an open channel of communication with your child so that they can talk to you if they do encounter a problem, and to talk to them about these issues before they ever encounter them if possible.